All right. Well, just want to welcome everyone to our meeting this morning. Thank you for joining us. We have Kyle Ingram with us from HAP. We want to thank Kyle for coming out.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So again, we wanted to keep this just kind of high level, quick, to the point, just give some value to the agents that are tuning in now or might be viewing this later on. We tend to have a lot of conversations with agents this time of year, and they're kind of feeling us out. What are the carriers hearing out there? What's working, what's not working? What's the, atmosphere out there for this AEP and beyond? So, Kyle, appreciate you joining us just to kind of have a nice little open discussion here, casual conversation about what you guys from a carrier perspective are seeing, any tips, tricks, ideas that you guys can offer. I know you guys are really good at that, as we were just talking about some of the highlights you guys send over regularly. How can we kind of condense those into, some immediate takeaways? Agents can just hear, I could put this into practice now, or this is when I use HAP because this is where they really shine. So that's what we're really trying to accomplish this morning with this brief discussion. So again, appreciate you being with us. So to get things started, one of the questions we get asked, and I think I had sent this over to you, is what are you guys seeing for these first few weeks of AEP? How are you guys from a carrier perspective? What are you seeing and what are you hearing out there?
Yeah, and thanks again for having me today. So it's been an interesting start to an AEP, right? And I think we all can kind of see it anytime there's an election going on, which means a lot of phone calls, a lot of postcards, a lot of things going in that kind of disrupt lead gen that a lot of our agents use on a regular basis, as well as us. And then throw on top of that our friends on TV that keep throwing ad after ad and phone call after phone call. So we expected it actually to be kind of a slower start than it started off for us. We've been doing really well. We're right on track for where we wanted to be, considering the obstacles we knew were going to be there. But hopefully we're going to see also a big uptick. And I think a lot of our agents will see that too. Now that the election's over with, those at least mailers and phone calls are going to stop. We still have to deal with those friends on TV, but at least those kind of mailers are going to stop, which we're hoping is going to pick things up. On the HAP side, there's obviously always some kind of road bumps on the carrier side. Something's not going to work exactly the way you wanted it to be. HAP, we were extremely fortunate that we brought on, I think it was 4 or 5 new hospital networks or provider systems just before AEP hit. Our provider team did an amazing job getting those contracts done. But, it causes a technology road bump because now we have to figure out a way to load all those providers in, which is a slow process. So we're going through and working through some of that right now, but we understand that's also a hiccup for us in some parts of the state, making sure that all of our providers are in network, not just being able to tell agents they are, but actually then be able to pull them up in our system. So we're working on getting through that. But the other big thing is we've been getting some great feedback from our agents that I always appreciate. And I'm going to start the call and I'll probably end it with this today too. Any feedback you have for us, good, bad, or indifferent, please send over to me. Give me a call, give Jason a call, Dustin. We all want to hear it because that's how we improve. Obviously, I only want to hear great things all the time, but some stuff happens, right? So we want to make sure any process changes we can have, anything we can improve on, anything we didn't see as an obstacle, we want to hear from you so that we can try to work on that in the future.
Yeah, no, good point. No, I appreciate you bringing that out. And yeah, that whether they feed it to us directly, you guys, we need to hear it. Carriers need to hear it. You guys can delicately take it to your leadership, I guess, but we need to hear from the field. The agents are obviously the ones experiencing it firsthand. And just so everyone, knows, as Kyle said, as we've experienced and talked to agents, if you feel like it's a little bit slow, you're not alone. There are a lot of agents, even seasoned veterans that are experiencing a little slower start. Even some of the top carriers in the industry I've talked to are experiencing a little slower start. So I think we have talked about this. Is it the election? Probably, because I think we were asking these same questions the last election. Like, wow, it's slow. Is it the election? Well, it must be. So airwaves are kind of jammed up, but hopefully that frees up and gives everyone the chance to focus on this now. Talk to a lot of agents to say, yeah, I'm working some of these clinics, or I'm working in some of these third-party locations, and people stop by and go, oh, Medicare, yeah, I got to talk to somebody, but you could tell their mind's not there. They're moving on to something else. And we know that's also where it seems like AEP, the big push is also the last couple of weeks of the year. Everybody's got to make a decision finally and, stop procrastinating. So yeah, no, definitely it's been a slower start for everyone. Hopefully that changes. Now talking to you guys as a carrier specifically, would love to hear, because all of us in the industry, especially the agents, they've got certifications, recertifications with a multitude of carriers. And I think it's just good to kind of narrow it down and take a high level position of, Kyle, you're talking to an agent, think about HAP. What would be kind of the highlights, the features? Where do you guys stand alone in this market, and where should agents be pulling you out? And I know you'll say everywhere, but to help condense it for the agents, because there's just so many new plans out there with a multitude of benefits, but where do you guys shine?
Yeah, so everywhere. No. No, there's obviously, HAP's known first and foremost in terms of how we handle the diabetic community, those members on insulins, with how we have our senior savers model put in place, the ability for a member to have a 90-day mail order for Novolin, Novolog, Lantus, or Toujeo for $0 next year, going through the coverage gap is a huge benefit. So that's obviously number one. If you're running across a member that says, I'm on insulin, I have diabetes, HAP should be your immediate thought where to initially go with that, just off the drug stand. But to go on top of that, we have a lot of different instances. Every year you see some large carriers in the market have plan additions and retractions, right? Something goes into the plan, the next year it has to get taken away, and they're trying to figure out the right fit for each state. One of the big things that we've seen come in and out and kind of bounce around in the state is FlexCard. You see it talked about on TV, you see plans have them, they don't have them, there's huge amounts, but what's the supplemental benefits look like? One of the big things we wanted to do is slowly dip our toe into that market, understanding if there's one thing you don't see from HAP a lot is the retraction of benefits, right? We're probably more conservative when it comes to plan design, taking our time to roll those out to market. So launching our new MSU healthcare plan is a huge option for our members that want that flexibility. They have that $500 flex card. They can use $300 of it towards OTC, transportation, peers, companion care, and then $200 of it towards dental, vision, or hearing. It allows those members that, hey, I don't want to order through a catalog. I want to go to CVS and get my OTC items directly from there, or I want to go to Walmart and get those. We're giving that flexibility to them while still having the great formulary, still having the strong dental supplemental benefits, while having everything else. That's one of those things we took a look at. What's going on in the market? What subset are we seeing? And how can we address that in a way that's not going in? I will take the quick moment to say, I've had a few people talk about the MSU healthcare plan and say, it's a brand new plan. Let's let it sit. Let's make sure it's going to stay in the market. I can tell you that Henry Ford and MSU joined a 30-year research agreement. The MSU healthcare plan is not going away. Talking to the project coordinator, his response to me was, I'm retiring from HAP, and he's my age. So that's a good sign.
No, that's good.
The other thing is, obviously, any of those members, it's not just diabetics, it's the formulary as a whole. We're extremely strong there. We are one of, if not the lowest cost formulary in, I know, both the Metro Detroit and the Grand Rapids markets. And I feel we're extremely strong in Lansing as well. The other main thing is when you hear somebody talk about PTOT or ST, they're going to physical therapy, you want to be looking at a HAP plan. The HAP Senior Plus with a $20 copay for that is a great option, as opposed to, 40, 45, 50 that you may see in the market. They got to go 3 or 4 times a week. That can really hit their pocketbook quickly when you're on a fixed income. So just a few quick highlights on there. Diabetics or formulary is always a big thing. You should be looking at HAP right away. PTOT or ST part of the conversation look that way. Or if you're sitting down in their house and you see a big Spartan helmet somewhere, you may want to talk about that MSU healthcare plan. Even though it's our full network, it's our full service area, just a co-branded plan. It's not limited in any way, but that's definitely a great option.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Those are great points. And two, you did have a nice expansion over the west side of the state. You have Spectrum and Network now. Though some agents over there are just used to selling another carrier, talk to some that are like, hey, it's nice we have a couple new options. And, there might be those scenarios, formulary reasons, diabetic, whatever the case might be, that now they have you guys and they can actually go to Spectrum for those, which is also changing name. But so, all right, cool. So let's put a little maybe spin on that question. So those are some of what you guys from a carrier perspective go, hey, this is our kind of thrust. This is what we do well. What are you hearing from the agents that are selling HAP frequently? Why are they selling HAP? Let's talk about that for a minute.
So outside of everything I just touted and the strong benefits and everything else, all of our plans, we're all so close, right? There's those little copays here or there that wins you out. But I think the big thing that is the reason agents agents write HAP, and a lot of agents are extremely loyal to the HAP side, is because of the agent services and the member services that we provide. Starting with the members, because obviously agents, I know you are the most important part to me, but overall members are the most important thing here, right? Member services is a huge, huge focus for us. Our CEO was a practicing physician. Obviously, we have multiple practicing physicians still on staff. So, reducing barriers of care, trying to make sure that our members are actually able to see and get the services that they need that are in their plan is focus number one. And then the other part is not taking away from that member service experience in lieu of trying to get a profit or, get a certain return on our plans is a big thing. You don't see us shipping customer service overseas. You see those types of things staying local, and that's because our members are so important to us that we want to make sure that we're reinvesting in them. The other side on the agent services, one of the big things for us, and I think has been very helpful for agents, is that both myself, Jason, and Dustin, we've all been in your shoes. We've all been agents in the past. We've worked with carrier reps, we've worked with members. We understand what it's like to be sitting at the table with somebody and not have an answer and try to call your rep, and now you wait a day or two to hear back from them on that voicemail, right? We all want to answer our text messages as soon as possible. We get back to our phone calls. Unless I'm on one of these, I'm probably going to answer your phone call and make sure that you have that answer right away for your members. So those are two of the major things that we see outside of the benefit, outside of the network and everything else. That's the most important thing, right? Are you as an agent being taken care of, and are your members being taken care of? And I think as long as we continue to check both of those boxes, we should probably be one of the number one companies that you're looking at. If I can add one more little thing to that is, the big part too is, disenrollment emails. It's the support that we get along with the birthday emails and all those other things to help you continue to grow your business, make sure you're not having to check your book of business every other day for what's going on. Those types of things are huge. And then of course, any of those incentive programs we can put in place, like an orphan program or something else that I'm not going to dive into today, but if you're interested, give me a call. I'm always happy to talk to you about it.
Yeah, good point. I love that you mentioned that orphan program, and it is exciting. So if you're not aware, let us know. So good points. And just to build on that, one thing you mentioned, some may not know this, you guys are a nonprofit.
Correct. Yep. We're a nonprofit.
Yeah, which is huge. I mean, like you said, you're not going to ship things overseas. Those are some of the biggest complaints, especially about the big national carriers that we hear all the time. One has tried and another has tried and they all fail. Stop shipping sensitive customer service over to another country. So you guys do a great job at that. And I'll back you up on the fact that when I talk to agents, they say the same thing. My customers get the service they expect. It's phenomenal. And I, as an agent, get the same responsive time from you guys. You guys are on top of those calls, those text messages immediately, and they love that. Even I've had some tell me this year, hey, even if another carrier is a little bit better in a spot or two, I still sell HAP because I know me and my client are going to get the service that I expect going forward. So huge, huge point.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the main things that's missed when you're sitting down with a member and you're going over benefits and things are so close is
right.
What we can't put on paper is the experience, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I think that you're going to get more referrals when you write business with HAP because of that experience the member is going to get. They're more likely to send more business here.
Absolutely. And like Kyle alluded to, you write more HAP, you actually get more clients. We'll tell you about that another time. Yeah. So cool. No, that's great. Great points for the agents to walk away with. So anything you guys are doing, because, one of the things we've talked about in other sessions is it's no longer just about AEP. Medicare Advantage has become such a huge part of the Medicare solution that it's a year-round thing. It's 12 months a year. You have to either be marketing, preparing, selling 12 months a year. It's not like the days where, everyone did other stuff and then all of a sudden, October came and they're getting pushed into their, centers, their walk-in centers and other things. It's literally 12 months a year. Yep. So anything different, unique that you guys are doing to help the agents as we get into, let's say, January to make this a 12-month success? What's, HAP focused on?
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest things that we're able to do to help out our agents and understanding, it's a 12-month thing. It's not just this quick sprint that we talk about every year, is the training and helping with any resources we have for doing the types of things that creates it into a 12-year program for you. So I had written down a couple of notes because I was thinking about this earlier, of, how do we transition from AEP being a main focus to it going, month by month, building a business, a pipeline, and everything else off of it. And the number one thing I think I was told when I was an agent that translated to when I'm talking to agents now, especially newer ones in the market, is get very comfortable with being uncomfortable. Understand that you're not going to have one spoke of the wheel that's going to get you there. And some of them may not be things you're used to doing or you're super comfortable with, but there's a lot of different things you should be doing throughout the year to kind of build the AEP pipeline, great, but your T65 pipeline, your month after month, having people aging in, coming to you, sending their friends and family. So, we have a generic Medicare 101 presentation that I can share with agents. If you're interested in that, reach out to me. It's editable in terms of you're able to put in your information, non-HAP branded, really just one of those support pieces we wanted to give, because we're seeing a huge pushback in the Medicare 101 seminar. They're doing extremely well, getting the opportunity to get in front of potential members and them, you becoming the expert right away for them, right? So when they do turn 65 in 3-4 months, you're the one they're going to call. The other thing is, a lot of agents out there aren't going to like when I say this either, but dealing with recording and technology and getting comfortable with what's going on with that. It's going to be part of the business moving forward. We don't ever know exactly how much or how long these exact rules are going to stay in place, but as long as technology builds up, something's going to go on. So we're here to try to help out with understanding the rules. I'm probably going to push more back towards Jason on what exact systems you use, what our agents saying. We on the carrier side, we stay kind of away from saying this is a great company to use, but understanding that's going to be part of the business, and we're going to continue to do our analysis to be able to help agents understand what's the rules actually saying, how is it going to apply, and what's going on with that.
Yeah, good point. I was just going to say, about the recording stuff, obviously, too, we've got our own internal system, enrollment system platform. We've pushed out some educational pieces, just saying, hey, you might look at some of this technology over here. Depends on kind of what fits your setup, what you're comfortable with. Technology, it all does the same thing. It's just, how does it link up to your current systems and software? So obviously we can offer some suggestions there, but I was going to go off script for a second, because it seems like, this is still a brand new rule. It's just now being enforced. I believe CMS kind of put it on you guys as the carrier. Are you guys running into now any need to pull recordings or do anything like that yet?
Yeah, so I think there's the one thing they're really good on HAP at keeping us out of the blue on is what compliance is actually doing on their front in terms of secret shopping and all that, as they should. Sales probably shouldn't dabble in with compliance. But I do know that CMS in a way is going to be expecting some sort of secret shopping done, whether it's the volume or how many, or if it's based off of claims or complaints, that I'm not positive on. Just expect it's a possibility. So for some of the agents I have out there that say, I'll take the risk. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to deal with it. Understand you are taking a risk. I don't mean to be doom and gloom about it. And it's not, I don't think contracts are pulled day one, right? But it's just understand something can come up and it's kind of out of our hands in terms of we're going to have expectations from CMS to show that we're trying to police it in some way, shape, or form. So don't yell at me if it happens. I'm giving fair warning. There's a potential that a phone call secret shopper could happen, but I'm seeing a huge pivot too to in-person, which has also caused some of the slowdown from what we've seen in the last few years. We got so used to being virtual on the phone. Hey, I can have 10 appointments in the time it took me to drive to and from and have one before, right? But it's just adapting with what's going on. Anytime we can be a resource to in terms of what the rules are, how do I have to comply with it, reach out. We're here as a resource to you. I think that's the number one thing I want to be. And real quick to kind of hop back on what I was saying before, when it comes to trying to be that year round, I know Jason's for you, his whole staff and team is there is great. Also feel free to reach out to myself. I'm happy to sit down and do brainstorming sessions with each agent that wants to and say, hey, for HAP, or even not just for HAP, for you as an agent, as a business to help you grow. What are you seeing work across different agents? How can I implement it? I know I've sat down with a bunch of agents and ideas because I have a background in grassroots marketing, or I have a background doing this type of stuff. I was 100% referral based agent, which meant I had to get out there and network a lot and understand how to meet people. So I'm happy to help with that any way I can. Probably outside of AEP, I'll be happy to sit down and meet with you.
Exactly. So kind of wrap things up, a lot of great advice. What are you, because obviously you're talking to some of the top Medicare agents in the state. Those within the state sometimes represent some of the top agents in the country. What are those agents doing to make a successful AEP, or better yet, make a successful year-round Medicare Advantage selling season?
The most successful agents I'm working with is kind of going off of everything we've been talking about. They're not relying on one source to fill their pipeline and keep it going, right? You can't rely on that one referral partner you have that sends you everything. You can't rely just on business reply cards coming back and forth, because what happens, things like elections happen where they get 45 political postcards in the mail and now your BRC just got thrown away with everything. Or they're getting bombarded with phone calls and those aren't working. So you really have to hit multiple different things. And that's what I'm seeing them working is, yes, they sit down and maybe they're going to do dials for half the day, but then their other half of the day, they're working tabling events, or they're going to chamber events, or getting out and meeting new centers of influence, just kind of wrapping up all these different things to make sure their pipeline's consistent and full. I think that the other thing that I've noticed a lot of them working on is they're not just focusing on AEP. Their whole thing is T65, 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 and then AEP will come, right?
Yeah.
So as you fill that pipeline and you start focusing in on how you're going to find that 65-year-old every month or every, few months before they turn 65 to write. Well, now every single one of them are now going to refer their friends and family to you, AEP time. And that's how your calendar starts to fill up for this as well. So in my opinion, for those major producers doing the most, it's not relying on one thing or the other. It's kind of a combination of all the above and just being able to coordinate that to fill up their AEP pipe.
Yeah, no, good points. And we, same thing, we talk about this a lot, for some of you working with us, we have a marketing team that is helping agents to have a better marketing strategy, to be more complete. Because it's not like it was 5-10 years ago even. You can't just do direct mail and expect that to feed you year round. That's still a great viable source, but coupling that with maybe some internet driven leads, or maybe you're recognized as in the community as an educator, you're doing educational events. We're working with agents on those. We ourselves, we're constantly, I've worked with over the last couple of weeks, 3-4 new potential lead prospecting partners that will feed different types of leads to agents year round. And they may do a multitude of product lines, but of course we always discuss Medicare first, but it's true, you got to do year round. And, I talk to some agents, maybe they're newer to the industry. They don't realize, they think that they get started like August, September. It's like, no, you missed 8 months of filling your AEP pipeline. And the other thing too, you mentioned turning 65. Yeah, turning 65 is great. People have to make a decision. They know that. They're usually your immediate buyers. But don't forget, there's a population well over 65 that can, easily be tapped into. Because remember, you go buy some of these lead sources, T65 dries up pretty quick. I was talking to a lead vendor and he's like, he kind of laughs because everybody wants the T65. And he goes, T65 leads are like taking a couple pieces of fish food and dropping it into a fish tank with thousands of fish. There are way too many agents out there and just not enough T65, even though we know there's a huge population every day turning 65. When you break it down by your state, your community, there's less to work with. But we have agents that will concentrate on the 66 plus market and really find a lot of success, because some of those people, maybe they enrolled in a pharmacy, or maybe they had an agent call on them, enroll them into a plan, but never got back to them. And now it's been 2-3 years. They don't know where to go. They've heard bad things about calling in those 800 numbers, and all of a sudden they're looking for a local source. So don't forget to concentrate on some of the older population too. They may need a local advisor and an educator because they don't have that. Maybe they're in something, but they're just not sure where else to go. So those are great ideas. And again, you as a company will be working, our team, closely with you guys to come up with some ideas for next year. But again, if an agent needs some guidance on marketing strategies, calling Kyle, calling myself, our teams, we can offer some direction on what to do to put together kind of that 12-month strategy.
Yeah. And one other thing I'll add in there is invest in yourself as well. So understand some of these things that we talk about or lead programs that may be out there, they're not free. There's something that goes into that. Just know you're not investing on this year's commission, right? And I think that's the one thing that a lot of newer agents forget about when they're talking about buying leads or, warm transfers or whatever it may be, is they get worried about their commission this year. We're a residual business. So you're actually buying your commission this year, next year, the following year for that. And as you add that out, that investment becomes pretty cheap year over year, right? So don't lose sight on that investment in yourself just because you don't see massive immediate returns on that investment. Now look at it next year when those commissions come in the following year and the following year.
Well, you learn the business, become the actual advisor for that client. Now you bring in maybe another product or solution or two. Maybe
Right.
you have regular reviews with them. So they think of you as their insurance educator advisor. So what do you do with people you recognize as the expert? Will you refer other people to them? Again, maybe that upfront $100 cost or whatever it is, couple referrals in, couple cross sales in, and all of a sudden that costs you a few bucks. Or maybe now, it's all positive,
Yep.
income. Yeah, great point. All right. Well, I think we're at our time, but feel like we've touched on a lot of important topics, things we're hearing from agents, being asked about us, from us and the carriers. Anything else you'd like to say in conclusion?
I think the only thing I'll end with is being as cheesy as I can. Remember, everybody's happier with HAP. If you need anything, give me a call anytime. And thank you all for joining. Jason, for having me today, and the whole IAD staff. You guys are amazing to work with. Appreciate everything you do.
Hey, thank you. I think you need a little jingle to go with that HAP mantra. So
I'll work on it. All
right, good. Wait to hear from. But no, hey, thank you, Kyle. You guys are awesome. We appreciate the relationship with HAP as you're one of your FMOs. Any of you, if you have some more questions, please let myself, Kyle know. If you're not currently appointed with HAP, of course, contact our team. We'll make sure we get you set up, certified, ready to go. Anything else we can do, that's what we're here for as your partners. So thank you, Kyle. Thank you, everyone, for listening in. And again, everyone have a great AEP. And we look forward to a successful 2023.
Thank you very much again.
All right. Thanks, Kyle.
Bye.
Bye now.